Remember crazy Mika Brzezinski on the Morning Joe show, right? She had the affair with Joe and then they got married and then like what the, it's like a drama. It's like a drama on the show. She went off on Trump, and you got to listen to this carefully because it really is an amazing thing. Here's her indictment of Donald Trump.
There's clear disdain that I have for this president, but look at the facts. Look at how he's worn us down, from his paid-off porn star to Russia lies to racism in Charlottesville, racism across the board, children in cages. I mean, lie after lie after lie, conspiracy theories. Our country right now is really at a breaking point. If we don't find a way to hold this president accountable with his attempts to undermine the post office and also his apparent negligence, perhaps purposeful, on saving the American people's lives in this pandemic.
So I got to take this apart. We got to unpack this for a minute. The lie after lie after lie. And the conspiracy theories, like conspiracy theories, like the president purposely wants people to die of the Chinese flu. She's actually saying it's like all these conspiracy theories. And here the president is sitting up in Mount Trump, and the lightning flashing and the dark clouds are gathering over the little grotto that he lives in Mount Trump. And he's planning the deaths of the American people by the Chinese flu. Let's just go through her list, all right? Paid off porn star. Absolutely. That was really bad for the country. I know that in my life, the fact that Trump paid off a porn star to keep her quiet, that really made a big difference in my life. I mean, I was doing great before that. My business was running well. I was happy. My marriage was good. And then when I found out that Trump had paid off a porn star, because I didn't know when I voted for Donald Trump that he slept with everything in sight. I didn't know that. That was a big revelation, that the guy who wrote in his book that he was sleeping with I voted for him for his moral stance on adultery. Okay, but that at least is real. That's real. Then she says Russian lies. What were the Russian lies? For 3.5 years, Morning Joe and every other outlet that is connected in any way to the Democrats, which is all of them except maybe the Wall Street Journal, maybe Fox News, every single outlet ran with this Russian story. They led with it every day. And now that it's coming apart, and now that Durham is guiding some of the people, one of the people who's pled guilty, we'll talk about that. Suddenly it's gone. It's off the news. So what Russian lies? Whose Russian lies? What is she talking about? She talks about racism in Charlottesville. What does that mean? It means this absolute hoax, a complete, total, thoroughgoing hoax that Donald Trump said there are good people on both sides, meaning, and by saying that he meant the white supremacists and the Antifa people. First of all, those two sides are the same side as far as I'm concerned. They're both dirtbags, violent dirtbags. I want nothing to do with them. And he said, I'm not talking about the white supremacists. They should be condemned completely. He said it in the same speech. So whose racism is it? Whose lies are it? Whose lies are they? They're hers. They're Mika's. As she's talking, as she's condemning him, she's condemning herself. It is the press in a nutshell. Then she talks about racism across the board. What racism? Trump created more jobs for black people than any president ever has. If we get through this thing, if he can convince the states to start opening up again, which they will, no matter who wins the election, they'll finally cave in. A lot of this stuff is manufactured, but still, what racism? What racism across the board? Children in cages, those children were in those cages during the Obama administration. It only became an issue during the Trump administration. Conspiracy theories, again, what conspiracy theories? Russia collusion, Charlotte, everything she said is a conspiracy theory. And this thing with the post office, these are these things I hate. You hate to cover this. When the Ukraine scandal, so-called, started, I could barely bring myself to cover it. And they actually parlayed that into an impeachment. Of course, it was an impeachment only by one party. It was absolutely ridiculous. It was absolutely absurd. But the fact that they actually parlayed it into that meant I had to talk about it. But I was thinking, this is stupid. It's a stupid story. It's the same thing with this. The Postal Service said that basically they were not set up to handle universal mail-in voting in the way that it needed, that it would have to be handled if suddenly, within days of the election, we suddenly declared nobody's going to the polls. First of all, Fauci, their hero, their god, the guy that they love more than anything, he says it's perfectly safe to go vote. Here's what he said.
I think if carefully done according to the guidelines, there's no reason that I can see why that not be the case. For example, You know, when you look at going to a grocery store now in many regions and counties and cities that are doing it correctly, they have X's every 6 or more feet. And it says, don't leave this spot until the person in front of you left their spot. And you can do that. If you go and wear a mask, if you observe the physical distancing and don't have a crowded situation, there's no reason why you shouldn't be able to do that.
So they've ginned up this entire thing that in order for people to vote, because nobody wants to vote for Joe Biden. Nobody's going to walk down the street to Joe Biden. You know, if you had to go vote for Joe, if you felt you hated Trump so much that you would actually vote for this ventriloquist dummy, and something good was on TV, or something bad was on TV, or nothing was on TV, and you just wanted to sit in a room and stare into space, wouldn't you do that instead of going down to the polls to vote for Joe Biden? His enthusiasm, the enthusiasm level of Joe Biden voters is at -10. I mean, people are like, they're telling pollsters, yeah, I'll vote. I got it. Maybe, I don't know. So they want it as easy to be. They want you to be able to whisper the word Biden out the window and have it count as a vote. And Trump's right. It is absolutely a setup for corruption. It's not the same thing as absentee ballots where I say, I can't get to the polls or I want this. And then you send it. When you send this out universally, it is just asking for corruption, which, of course, the Democrat Party has been doing for 100 years, manipulating votes. So the whole thing is nonsense. And it's not right. It is not right to have these constant conspiracy theories that the left has been perpetrating now for 4 years. And it would be okay if only they did it. But it's when the refs do it. It's when the referees do it in the press that make it worse than what it has to be.